أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتهدون الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء وخاتم المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين سيدنا ونبينا بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. واللعنة دائمة الباقي على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم وغاصب حقوقهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: ويطعمون الطعام على حبه مسكينا ويتيما واسيرا إنما نطعمكم لوجه الله لا نريد منكم جزاء ولا شكورا. صلوات پڑھنے ایک بار. Can I request the brothers by the door to move here? We have enough space here, please. I know people will be coming on later on. During this blessed month of Ramadan, we had this opportunity of going through Surah al-Insan, which is known as Surah al-Dahr also, and Surah al-Ata. And in this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after talking about the creation of the human being and the ability that He has, the potential that He has created among them to receive the divine guidance, and the issue of the freedom that He has given to us, where He says, "Inna hadaynahu as-sabil imma shakiran wa imma kafura," that once the guidance has been given, those who follow it, they are the grateful ones, and those who don't follow it are the ungrateful ones. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the consequences of following or not following. And then, as an example, He actually brings from ayat number 7 to 22 that we are going through, the early parts of that passage, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to give an example of those who are al-abrar, the righteous ones, the one who reached to the level of righteousness where they, help people selflessly. And the story is of the 3 days where Fatima and Ali and Hassan and Hussein and Fizza fasted based on the nazar that they had done as far as Amir al-Mu'mineen and Bibi Fatima and Fizza are concerned, where all 3 days at the time of fasting, at the time of iftar, the Miskin came, and then Yatim came, and Asir came. We talked about that verse. And we ended last night with a discussion about إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. That the reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose that story of the family of Fatima was because of the pure, intention, the sincerity which was there. إِنَّمَا نُطْعِمُكُمْ لِوَجْهِ اللَّهِ. We feed you only for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't expect anything from you in return. No jaza, no shukur. No reward from you, nor any thanks from you, because we are doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This spirit of charity on one hand, and the quality of the sincerity that they had, this is actually, coming from Fatima to Zahra. It's a reflection of the character of Bibi Khadija salawatullah alayha. And this being the majlis where we are in the memory of Bibi Khadija's wafat, I would like to briefly, talk about this theme of charity before I go on to the example that we see from her life. That when it comes to the issue of charity, And the idea basically is that to share what God has given to us with those who are less fortunate in the society. Basically, there are different outlooks towards charity, depends on the philosophy and the ideology that people follow. If you look at capitalism on one hand, in its ideal form, there is no compassion and room for being benevolent and charitable to poor and the needy, because in a ideal capitalist system, a person is a poor by choice. So it's not our duty to help them. And this is, of course, a very ideal situation. But that kind of mentality that why should we bother about the poor and the needy is not only a modern phenomenon as far as capitalism is concerned, it's actually even seen in the mentality of the people who were in Mecca. There is a surah that we recite every Thursday night, Surah Yasin. And there, if you look at ayat number 47, it's a very interesting ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ, when it is said to them, the people, especially the people of Mecca, أَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ, give in charity from what Allah has given to you. Share with those who are less fortunate. قَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, those who don't believe, they turn to the believers and they say to them, أَنُطْعِمُ لَوْ يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ أَطْعَمَهُ, why should we feed somebody that if Allah wanted, He could have fed him Himself? So it's not our concern. It's not our business. If really Allah is, concerned about the poor and needy, He should do it. What they don't realize that when it says, أَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ, give from what Allah has given to you. There is already there a condition that when Allah gives to you, a portion has to be given to the poor and the needy. And so this is one extreme as far as the outlook towards charity is concerned. On the other extreme, you have what is known as communism. It has failed. And this is where, this was kind of a reaction to capitalism, where the whole issue of, private ownership was completely denied. Although it is part of the human nature to own things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this issue in us. And because it is against the nature, we saw that, once the people got freedom, the system collapsed. And so that's another extreme, that, people don't own anything. And since they don't own anything, it's the state which is the owner of everything, then the issue of charity doesn't come in. It is the state which has to, deal with it. And this is where we see Islam when we talk about Sirat al-Mustaqim. Sometimes we say this is the middle path. Yes, in this issue, Islam truly is the middle path between capitalism on one hand and, communism on the other hand. We believe fundamentally that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the real owner of everything. Malikul Mulk. He is the king of the kingdom. Everything belongs to Him, including ourselves. And this is where, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in one of the ayats says it very clearly, لِلَّهِ مَا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ, Surah Baqarah, towards the end of it. That whatever is there in the heavens and the earth belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But that same Allah who owns everything, including us, He also says, هُوَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ لَكُم مَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا. He says He is the one who has created the earth and whatever is in it for human beings. So basically that Malikul Mulk now is saying that I allow you to be owners of certain things according to the proper legal means of acquiring them. Whether it is, livelihood and, work and hard work, or whether it is inheritance or whatever are the legal means of acquiring, Islam says, yes, you become the owner. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to become the owners of the blessings that He is giving us, it is actually attached with a condition. So all those who are affluent, who don't have any needs, they are able to maintain themselves, they have to realize that their ownership of the wealth of this dunya comes with a condition. And this is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah number 51, ayat number 19, He says, وَفِي أَمْوَالِهِمْ حَقٌّ لِلسَّائِلِ وَالْمَحْرُومِ. In the mal that I have given to the people, there is a haqq. A portion of it is a right of those who are beggars and deprived. And so this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it. And this haqq, for the beggar and the poor or the deprived, are of two types. There are some which are wajib, when we talk about khums and zakat and fitrah and things like that. But and that is basically a communal system where we have to pay the wajib dues. But then there is another type of haqq as far as sa'il and mahroom are concerned, and that is where it is more an individual issue of charity. That we have to, share what Allah has given to us with those who are less fortunate. And so this is where charity becomes a very important part of our system, especially when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala combines these words, salat and zakat. Zakat actually is not the technical fiqhi term used in the ayat of Quran when it says, aqimu salat wa atu zakat. It is actually a generic term, applies to all kinds of dues which are wajib on us. And so combining salat and zakat is a way of saying that Islam does not only believe in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but also taking care of those who are less fortunate in the society. Salawat. Even this issue of charity, it's interesting that some of these issues are considered to be very simple, but yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran goes to some details about it. For example, at the end of Surah Baqarah, there are verses one after another where He doesn't talk about how much to give. He is emphasizing on how to give, especially your interaction with the recipient. Don't do it in a way that it humiliates the other person. Don't do it in a way that it hurts their feelings. This is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I'm not looking at the quantity of your charity, I'm looking at the quality of how you give the charity. And that is something very important. This is where the whole issue of niyyat comes in, the intention, as we saw in the example from Ahlul Bayt in Surah al-Insan. Now, even about the issue of how much do we give, there are levels of charity, sadaqat and infaq. There are two words, sadaqah and infaq, used by Quran many times for the meaning of charity. The lowest level, basically, this is part of the series of ayat in Surah Baqarah, and this ayat is ayat number 219. Well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins with the words, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ. O Muhammad, they are asking you this issue. So there are about 4 or 5 things that people were asking, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responds to that question. One of them is, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ. O Muhammad, they are asking you, what should they give in charity? The lowest, the simple level of charity is this one. قُلِ الْعَفْوُ. O Muhammad, say to them, whatever is spare, extra, whatever you don't need, give it away in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then we come to a second level, where it's not the issue that, it's extra, I don't need it, so I give it away. That is also good, at least it's good for the poor and the needy. So we are not saying that it's to be rejected, but that's a lowest level of charity. Above that would be where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is now describing the muttaqeen. Right in the beginning of Surah Baqarah, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alif Lam Mim, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. That this is a book which has been sent as a guidance for muttaqeen, the righteous people. Then he describes them. Who are they? الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. The first thing is that they believe in the ghaib, unseen. Number two, وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةِ, and they establish prayers. And what is number three? وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ. And from whatever we have given to them, they give in charity. So it's not an extra now. From whatever we have given, whether more or less, they always find a portion of it to be given to the poor and the needy. And then we come to a higher level. Again, describing the muttaqeen in series of ayat, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes them by saying, this is in Surah Al-Imran, ayat 134, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ. One of the qualities of the muttaqeen is that they give in charity in all situations. فِي السَّرَّاءِ, when it's good times financially. وَالضَّرَّاءِ, when they are in financial, challenges. Still they find some room in their heart and their pocket, in their wealth to give to the those who are poor and needy. And so that's a higher level, that in all situations people, share with those who are less fortunate. And of course the highest would be, which is actually not sacrifice. It is actually, it's not actually charity, it is actually sacrifice. Where you actually need it yourself, but yet you give it away for somebody else. And this is where in Surah number 59, ayat 9, again describing the muttaqeen. He says, وَلَا يَجِدُونَ فِي صُدُورِهِمْ حَاجَةً مِمَّا أُوتُوا. That when Allah gives to them something, they are happy with it, but it's not that they become the slave of this dunya. وَيُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ وَلَوْ كَانَ بِهِمْ خَصَاصَةٌ. They prefer others over themselves, even if they are in the state of poverty. They would give away, even though they would be in need and in a situation of difficulty. When we look at the example of Fatima Zahra and her family, salawat pढ़ने के बाद, in the Tafseer of Surah al-Insan, when they gave away the bread, which was the only item on their menu at that time, a time of iftar, 3 days in a row. This is where we come to realize that this is not just charity, this is actually ithar. يُؤْثِرُونَ عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ. They actually prefer others over themselves. Because they are of a higher level, of course, the expectation that Allah has from them is of a higher standard than He would expect from the regular Muslims and the mu'mineen. And this selfless way of giving to others, even though you yourself need it, that we see in the example of the family of Fatima, this is a reflection of the character of Bibi Khadija, salawatullah alayha. We all know that, she came from a very affluent background. There were normally 2 caravans from Mecca. Trade caravans would go once a year, depending on the season, winter and summer. One would go to south, to Yemen, and the other will go to north to Syria, Damascus. And remember, Syria those days was part of the Eastern Roman Empire. And so this is where the traders of Mecca would become the middlemen. Yemen was the port for the goods coming from the eastern part of the world, China and India, as well as Persia. And, this is where the goods will come there. And when it comes to the Damascus, that was basically the central market for goods coming from Africa and Eastern Europe. And so the Arabs, especially the merchants of Mecca, became the middlemen there. They would get goods from Syria, from the west, and then basically take it to the south, and from south coming from east going towards the west. And this is where they used to make money. So these two caravans would go in two different seasons. Quran talks about it in Surah Quraysh, رحلة الشتاء والصيف, the journey in the winter and the summer. These caravans had, normally 2,000 plus camels, loaded with goods of the merchants of Mecca. Of course, their own workers and everything would be with them. And among those 2,000 plus camels, almost half of them in every journey belonged to Khadija salawatullah alayha. And she was indeed a very rich and an affluent lady. But it was not only the issue of wealth. True affluence means that a person is in control of the wealth and not the slave of the wealth that Allah has given to him or her. This is where you have to realize that the dunya is for us and we are not for the dunya. The way, my late father, in one of the examples he has, and I would share it with you again, maybe it's a repetition, but I like that example, where he talks about a situation where he says, "Oh my son, when it comes to your relationship to mal dunya, to the wealth of this world, become a fly which sits on the sugar, and don't become a fly which sits on the liquefied honey." The fly normally looks for something which is sweet. If it goes and sits on the honey, while it's taking it, it will be sunk in, submerged, and die. Whereas the one which is sitting on sugar will be able to take whatever is needful, and then it can still separate from it and fly away. And so our relationship to this dunya should not be such that we become the slave of this dunya. We should control the dunya that Allah has given to us. Use it in the right way for ourselves, for the family, for the community and those who are poor and needy, and share with them also. And this is where we see that when it comes to Khadija salawatullah alayha, it's not only that she was an affluent lady of Mecca. She was an affluent lady with the best of character. Her outlook towards, wealth and dunya was not like those who are submerged into the dunya. Wealth was nothing for her. And this is where you see that, there were many people in Mecca who wanted to marry her. But her choice goes to somebody who was not that much affluent. She actually looked at Rasulullah, and the reason why she chose that marriage with Rasulullah was based on his character. He was known as As-Sadiq wal-Amin. And she actually got a report from the first time when Abu Talib brought him to Khadija and said that, this is my nephew, you know him, you know about his character, and I would like you to employ him for your trade caravans. And there was a caravan going those days to Syria. And Khadija, knowing his amanat, that he was a trustworthy and truthful person, she actually made Rasulullah the manager of that caravan, of her goods, and assigned a slave with him to be there with him all the time. And he said, when you come back, I want to report about his dealings and his character and his behavior. It was that report which impressed Khadija. So it has nothing to do with the worldly status or the wealth. It was akhlaq that she was looking for, and this shows her solid, character as far as a human being is concerned. Salawat padhne ke para. Even the marriage which took place, and Abu Talib was the one doing the khutbah on behalf of Rasulullah. By the way, Rasulullah knew Arabic. Sometimes we become very advanced these days, but you realize it's not just that I know. Even I had studied almost 9 years in Qom, 10 years. Before I got married, I didn't recite my own nikah. Not that I didn't know. I probably had recited many other nikahs before that. But, there is always this kind of a norm in the Eastern societies, I would say, not with the West, where the elder of the family is given that honor. And so, yes, Rasulullah is Rasul. He knows Arabic, but the khutbah is recited by Abu Talib. And on the other side, on behalf of Khadija, it was her uncle, Warqa bin Nawfal, who was a learned person, and he was a Christian at that time, very well versed with the scriptures of the earlier books. And there in that khutbah, Hazrat Abu Talib describes Khadija, and he says, "Inna Khadija imra'atun kamilatun maymunatun fadila." He says, verily Khadija, after talking about his own nephew and praising him, then he says, and Khadija on the other hand, she is a lady who is kamila. Kamila means she is on the level of perfection as far as her character is concerned. Maymuna, she is a source of barakat. She is blessed. Fadila, she is sahib fadilat. She is virtuous. تخشى العار وتحذر الشنار, and she is the one who disliked disgraceful things and refrain from shameful acts. So this is her character even before the marriage that she had with Rasulullah. According to historians, Shia and Sunni both, وَكَانَتْ تُدْعَى فِي الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ بِالطَّاهِرَةِ. During the time of Jahiliyyah, before Islam started, in Mecca, Khadija was known in Mecca by the title of At-Tahira. And what does Tahira means? Somebody who is pure. لِشِدَّةِ عِفَافِهَا وَصِيَانَتِهَا. Because she was very serious when it comes to the issue of chastity and protecting her own honor and dignity. Salawat. So on the level of, character, this is the marriage of those who are compatible to one another. On one hand, you have a Sadiq and al-Amin, and on this other side, you have somebody who is known as a Tahira. And Abu Talib calls her Kamila, Maymuna, and Fadila. And so basically, this is where we come to realize that her choice in marrying Rasulullah itself was not influenced by worldly status or by wealth. It was more the akhlaq and the character of the person. Salawat. Of course, people at that time had their own standards. And so some of the women of Quraysh and even their husbands would say, what happened to Khadija? She could have married somebody of the same status as far as wealth is concerned. So her choice was not the right one. And when these words reached to Bibi Khadija, she actually invited these ladies from the elite class of Mecca to her home for dinner. And after that, she actually told them that, what is this that I hear from you and your husbands questioning my choice of marrying Muhammad? And then she says, I ask you, is there anyone like Muhammad among the men in Mecca? In Mecca or any other city around? Is there a personality who could rival him in perfection and nobility? There is nobody. And I have married him for these qualities and not for wealth or social status. So stop talking nonsense about me. Salawat padhne ek baar. This issue of, our interaction with mal and dunya has to be in a way that we are in control and not that we are in control of the dunya. It's seen at the time when we face challenges. When the time comes that we have to separate ourselves from our, affluence, from our comfort, from our luxury, for the sake of the truth. You look at this life of Bibi Khadija. She lived in affluence, a luxury life. Servants all around. To the extent that she actually dedicated a couple of slaves to become the slaves of Rasulullah, to be in his personal service. And yet a time comes when Islam started, and during the early days, there were challenges, there is opposition from all sides. But she never ever, there is nothing, no indication in history that she complained to Rasulullah that maybe I got into something I shouldn't have. She was part of this mission. And she has the honor of being the first person who accepted the message of Rasulullah. It was a lady. And not only a lady, but a lady who was the wife. And this is where we have to realize that when Khadija accepts Islam, immediately when Rasulullah, talks about it when he came from the cave of Hira, the acceptance by Khadija is actually a testimony of the highest character of Rasulullah. A person can be very good when it comes to society, but we don't know how that person is at home. This is where we say the wife knows the husband than anyone else. If you want to know the character of the person, go and ask his wife. And this, acceptance of Islam right immediately when Rasulullah comes down from Ghar Hira is actually a testimony of the highest, character and akhlaq of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Salawat. And she was faithful to this mission till the end. To the extent that when Quraysh decided to, because when Abu Talib refused to abandon his nephew and to withdraw his support from Rasulullah and his mission, basically this is where Quraysh now wanted to use collective punishment. We see what happens in Israel or other places. It's nothing new. This is all politics. That they said, okay, if you don't separate Muhammad from yourself so that we deal with him directly, then we will punish all of you. So the entire clan of Bani Hashim was put under socio-economic boycott. Nobody was allowed to interact with them, meet them, no marriage will take place with them anymore. And no dealings, buying or selling was forbidden. This is where Abu Talib realized and you know the story that their lives were in danger. So he took all of them to a place just outside Mecca, a valley which was known as Sha'bi Abi Talib, belonged to him, where he stayed with them. And this boycott continued for 3 years. The only time they were allowed to come to the city was during the time of the pilgrimage, because that was the month where even the mushrikeen of Mecca considered it to be sacred, and they would not even harm their own enemy if they see them. But during those 3 years, it was not easy. It was really difficult, especially for Abu Talib and Khadija, and that took its own toll. They sacrificed all the way. And soon after that boycott came to an end, this is where we see that first Abu Talib passed away, and few days after that, Bibi Khadija passes away. But the important thing, let me end in English here with a hadith that although Rasulullah then married many wives later on, and lived for about 13 years plus after the wafat of Bibi Khadija, we see that none of the wives of Rasulullah got that status which was given to Khadija. And this is a unanimous, hadith accepted by Shia and Sunni sources in different wordings. This is one narration where Ibn Abbas says, we were in Medina. One day Rasulullah was sitting with her ass somewhere. It was probably in the desert area. And he drew 3 lines on the sand. And he says, what is this? They said, we don't know. You know and Allah knows better. And he says, I am actually just narrating to you the angel who came. And he conveyed this message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that أَفْضَلُ نِسَاءِ الْجَنَّةِ أَرْبَعَ, that the best women of paradise will be 4 women. And in those 4 women, he mentions Khadija bint Khuwaylid, Fatima bint Muhammad, Maryam bint Imran, wa Asiya bint Muzahim, the wife of Fir'aun. So along with Maryam and Asiya, you have Khadija and Fatima, salawatullah alayhim ajma'in. Salawat. اہل بیت کے سلسلے میں تاریخ نے واقعاً ظلم کیا ہے. کبھی کبھی کوشش کرتے ہیں کہ یا تو انہیں ڈیگریڈ کیا جائے, یا اگر ڈیگریڈ نہیں کر سکتے ہیں تو دوسروں کو ان کے لیول پہ لایا جاتا ہے. There are so many examples. علی کے ساتھ جو انہوں نے کیا ہے, جناب ابو طالب پر عنوان کافر صرف اس لیے لگتا ہے کہ یہ علی کے بابا ہیں. خدیجہ جو ہیں فاطمہ کی ماں ہیں. اب وہاں بھی ذرا پریشانی ہوتی ہے. اب وہ مختلف طریقے سے جو باتیں آئی ہیں حدیثوں میں, واقعات جو ہیں, اس کو تو وہ انکار نہیں کر سکتے ہیں. لیکن اس میں بھی آپ دیکھیں کہ مثلا ان کی ایج کے بارے میں بحث ہوتی ہے اس ہسٹری میں. ان کے شادیوں کے بارے میں بات ہوتی ہے کہ پہلے وہ شادی شدہ تھیں. اور یہ بھی ایشوز جو ہیں کوئی کنفرم نہیں ہے, ڈیبیٹیبل ہیں ہسٹری میں, اور ہمیشہ اس پہ بحث رہی ہے, کوئی نئی بات نہیں ہے. اس زمانے میں ایک بہت مشہور شیعہ عالم جو ہیں, اور ہسٹری میں ہی از دی ٹاپ پرسن ایٹ دی مومنٹ ایز فار ایز authority in history is concerned, سید جعفر مرتضی عاملی لبنان کے ہیں. اور انہوں نے اس سلسلے میں بہت کام کیا ہے, اور انہوں نے جناب سیدہ کی ایج کے بارے میں بھی تحقیق کی ہے, ان کی شادیوں کے بارے میں بھی تحقیق کی ہے. اور جو ریفرنسز ملتے ہیں سنی ہسٹورین سے, ابن سعد کو دیکھ لیں, ابن کثیر کو بھی دیکھیں. ایکچولی ہماری ایک بکلیٹ ہے پولیگیمی ان اسلام اینڈ پروفٹس میریجز, یہ آن لائن بھی مل جائے گی آپ کو, ہمارے نام کے ساتھ سرچ کریں. اس میں ہم نے جناب خدیجہ کے ایج کے بارے میں بھی ریفرنسز وہاں دیے ہیں. ابن کثیر کا بھی حوالہ ہے, تاریخ اور سیرت کی جو 2 کتابیں اس کی ہیں. اور وہ بیسیکلی وہ یہ نہیں مانتے ہیں کہ خدیجہ جو ہے 40 سال کی تھی. رسول اللہ 25 اینڈ خدیجہ وہ کہتے ہیں شی واز 40 years old. سنی نریشنز میں بھی آپ کو ڈفرینٹ فگرز ملیں گے فرام 22 to 28. 40 بھی ملے گا, لیکن اور نمبرز بھی آپ کو ملیں گے. اور زیادہ تر خصوصاً سید جعفر مرتضی عاملی کی جو تحقیق ہے وہ کہتے ہیں کہ 28 seems to be the right age of Khadija at the time of marriage with Rasulullah. تو یہ نہیں ہے کہ اتنی بڑی تھی, بلکہ وہ صرف 2 یا 3 سال کا فرق تھا. اور اسی بنیاد پر آپ دیکھیں پھر وہ باتیں ہوتی ہیں جناب سیدہ کے بارے میں. اکثر جو ہیں کچھ حضرات ہم لوگ سے کہتے ہیں کہ آپ لوگ جناب سیدہ کو اتنی اہمیت دیتے ہیں جبکہ رسول کی 4 بیٹیاں تھیں. اس کا سمپل جواب تو یہ ہے کہ چاہے رسول کی 10 بیٹیاں رہی ہوں, قرآن میں جتنے ذکر آئے ہیں, چاہے سورہ کوثر ہو, آئے مباہلہ ہو, یا سورہ دہر کی بات ہو, یا آئے تطہیر کی بات ہو, اس میں صرف فاطمہ ہی کا ذکر ہوتا ہے. تو ہم ذکر اس خاتون کا کرتے ہیں جن کے بارے میں قرآن میں نازل ہوا ہے. اب وہ 9 بیٹیاں بھی اگر تھیں تو اس سے کیا ہوا؟ لیکن اس میں بھی ہسٹری میں کنفیوژن ہے. در حقیقت جناب خدیجہ ایفلوئنٹ تھی، چیریٹیبل تھی، بینیولنٹ تھی، دوسروں کا خیال کرتی تھی. ان کی جو بہن تھی، غالباً 2 بہن تھیں، ان کی بچوں کی کفالت خصوصاً ان لوگوں کے مرنے کے بعد جناب خدیجہ نے کیا تھا. وہ اپنے گھر انہیں رکھتی تھی. یہ عنوان یتیم کا جو ہے ایک لقب جناب خدیجہ کا یہ ہے کہ یہ الایتام تھی. شی واز دی مدر آف دی orphans، خصوصاً خود ان کے خاندان کی جو بچیاں تھیں. اور رسول اللہ کے شادی کے بعد بھی یہ بہرحال اسی گھر میں تھیں، تو ایک لحاظ سے وہ رسول کو بھی اپنا باپ ہی سمجھتی تھیں. لیکن اس کا مطلب یہ نہیں ہے کہ یہ حقیقی جو ہیں بیٹیاں ہیں جو رسول اللہ کی. خصوصاً جہاں تک ایج کی بات ہے، یہ سب مانتے ہیں کہ جناب سیدہ کی ولادت جو ہے اسلام کے آغاز کے 5 سال بعد ہے. سن 5 بعثت کی بات ہے. اور اس لحاظ سے اگر آپ یہ کہیں کہ جناب خدیجہ جو ہے 40 سال کی تھی اس شادی کے وقت، تو اس کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ جناب سیدہ کی ولادت کے وقت جناب خدیجہ 60 ایئرز اولڈ تھی، وچ از ناٹ نارمل، نہ ابھی نہ اس زمانے میں. تو یہ نمبرز وغیرہ بھی اگر آپ غور سے دیکھیں تو یہ نمبرز کو بھی مینیپولیٹ کیا گیا ہے تاکہ کسی اور کو بہت کم سن کہا جائے اور جناب خدیجہ کو کہا جائے کہ ایک ضعیفہ تھی. اور اکثر یہ عنوان صحیح بخاری میں بھی واقعہ ہے کہ رسول اللہ کی جو سب سے جوان بیوی تھی، ان کو کبھی کبھی غصہ بھی آتا تھا جب رسول اسلام جو ہیں سالوں کے بعد اگر خدیجہ کا ذکر ہوتا تھا، یاد کرتے تھے، تعریف کرتے تھے، تو بہرحال انسانی فطرت ہے، ریئیکشن ہوتا تھا، جس پر رسول جو ہیں وہ غصے میں بھی آ جاتے ہیں. کہتے ہیں کہ تم یہ مت کہو کہ وہ ضعیفہ تھیں، دانت نہیں تھے، اور خدا نے جو ہے جوان اور خوبصورت بیوی ریپلیس کر دیا ہے. فرماتے ہیں کہ جس زمانے میں مکے والوں نے مجھے رد کیا ہے، خدیجہ نے مجھے قبول کیا ہے اسلام کے حوالے سے. جب لوگوں نے مجھے ڈپرائیو کیا ہے، خدیجہ نے میری مدد کی ہے. اور خداوند عالم نے مجھے اولاد صرف خدیجہ کے ذریعے دی ہے، کسی اور کے ذریعے نہیں دی ہے. تو یہ سینٹیمنٹس خود رسول اسلام کے تھے. اور جب وفات واقع ہوئی ہے، اور وفات در حقیقت وہی جو 3 سال کے جو بوائیکاٹ کا جو سینکشنز کی جو بات تھی، اس کے ہی اثرات کی وجہ سے جناب ابو طالب و جناب خدیجہ کی جو وفات واقع ہوتی ہے. بس ایک روایت آپ کے سامنے ہم پیش کرنا چاہیں گے. جناب سیدہ اس زمانے میں 5 سال کی تھی. ایک روایت ملتی ہے کہ جب دفن کر کے آئے ہیں تو وہ 5 سال کی بچی جو ہے بابا کے گرد گھومتی ہے. کہتی ہیں یا ابت این امی، بابا میری اماں کہاں ہے؟ رسول کے لیے آسان نہیں تھا کس طرح سے تسلی دیں. جبرائیل امین اس وقت آتے ہیں اور رسول کو یہ کہتے ہیں کہ خداوند عالم نے کہا ہے کہ تم فاطمہ کو سمجھاؤ کہ اب تمہاری ماں جو ہیں دنیا کی تکلیف سے آزاد ہو چکی ہیں، اور ایسی جگہ ہیں جہاں خداوند عالم نے ان کو جناب آسیہ اور مریم کے ساتھ اچھی جگہ پہ رکھا ہے. بس ہم ایک جملہ کہنا چاہیں گے کہ بیوی، بابا نے آپ کو تسلی دی تھی اس وقت کہ ماں جو ہیں ایک اچھی جگہ پہ ہیں، دنیا کی اس اذیت اور لوگوں کے حسد اور طعنہ سے بالکل آزاد ہو چکی ہیں. لیکن ایک بچی مجھے یاد آتی ہے میدان کربلا میں، جو اپنے بابا کے لاش کے تلاش میں نکلتی ہے، لیکن وہاں اس کے لیے نشانی صرف یہی تھی کہ بابا کا سر نہیں ہے. بس عجب نہیں کہ یہ دیکھا ہوگا کہ بابا کا لاش پامال ہوا تھا، جہاں ہمیں سینے اور پشت کی ہڈیاں ایک ساتھ نظر آئیں گی وہی میرے بابا کا لاشا ہے۔ سکینہ وہاں جاتی ہے، اپنے سر کو سینے پر رکھتی ہے، بعد میں جب زینب ام کلثوم تلاش کرتی ہوئی آئے تب وہ جو جناب سکینہ کو سنبھالنے کے بعد وہاں سے لے کے جاتے ہیں۔ بس رسول اسلام کا ایک جملہ تھا کہ جب جناب ابو طالب کے بعد جناب خدیجہ کا بھی انتقال ہوا ہے، دفن کرنے کے بعد ایک جملہ کہتے ہیں کہ میرے دو حمایتی ستون تھے، there were two supportive pillars of me، ایک ابو طالب کی شکل میں اور ایک خدیجہ کی شکل میں۔ یا آج دونوں پلرز جو ہیں وہ مجھ سے جدا ہو چکے ہیں، اور اسی کے بعد قریش نے رسول کو ایسیسینیٹ کرنے کے پلان بنایا اور خداوند عالم نے حکم دیا کہ وہ ہجرت کریں مدینے کی طرف۔ بس ایک اور مجھے وہ واقعہ نظر آتا ہے کہ فاطمہ کو دفن کرنے کے بعد علی نے بھی یہی ایک جملہ کہا تھا کہ میرے لیے دو حمایتی ستون تھے، ایک رسول کی شکل میں اور فاطمہ کی شکل میں، آج دوسرا ستون بھی میری حمایت کا جو ہے اس دنیا سے رخصت ہو چکا ہے۔ الا لعنۃ اللہ علی القوم الظالمین سیعلم الذین ظلموا ای منقلب ینقلبون۔ خداوند اس قلیل بات قبول فرما، ہمارے گناہوں کو بخش دے، ہمارے توفیقات میں اضافہ فرما۔ خداوند جہاں جہاں مسلمان ہیں ان کو اپنے حفظ امان میں رکھ، خصوصاً شیعان علی، خصوصاً اس علاقے میں مڈل ایسٹ میں جہاں آج کل جنگ کے کانسپریسی کا سلسلہ چل رہا ہے۔ خداوندہ ان کی تمام سازشوں کو نیست و نابود فرما، اور شیعان علی خصوصاً جو افغانستان، ایران، پاکستان، عراق اور لبنان میں ہیں اور بحرین میں ہیں ان کو اپنے حفظ امان میں رکھ، امام کے ظہور میں تعجیل فرما۔ ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم۔